Hey, Curiositors. So today is a very special day because my amazing friend and fellow Curiositor, Kris Poore, is here, and he is taking over as host. And yours truly is going to be the guest. So buckle up, Buttercup. Thanks for agreeing to do this, Kris.
Did I agree, or did you strong-arm me?
Oh, you agreed. I flattered you with complimentary words, and you said, I accept.
I did agree. Yeah, you were absolutely right. I was like, oh, this is going to be really, really great or really, really bad. And I think that we were both up for the gamble.
I don't think it's a gamble. I don't.
Well, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah.
I do have an introduction.
I am so excited.
Because I wanted to make sure that I followed kind of the same format that you do.
Which is such a high honor. I'm ready.
So if you're ready for this, don't cry. It's actually not that emotional, but hopefully you will like it.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, I think I'm ready. Meredith Hackwith Edwards, self-proclaimed curiositor, adventurer, and host of the podcast Meredith for Real, where she describes herself as the most extroverted introvert who ever introverted. Brains, beauty, and a bold and daring seeker of knowledge and understanding, Meredith has embraced her insatiable appetite for uncovering the unique stories of all those she meets, encouraging those who dare to share, to choose curiosity over judgment, to discover the lives they love and the courage to live it, and to overcome challenges and circumstances in order to live fully and authentically. Having just crossed a milestone, 100 episodes, Meredith has lived up to her title as a champion curiositor, interviewing some of the most interesting people, many of whom shine a light on or defy a category or paradox. Hi, my name is Kris Poore, your guest host for today's episode. Today I'll be interviewing a very special guest and learning more about the woman behind the voice, behind the questions, an advocate for curiosity. Today's special guest is none other than Meredith herself.
That was amazing.
You like that?
Champion curiositor. That I was like, ooh, I like that.
You got some goosebumps?
I did.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good. It makes me feel seen. I dig it. Thank you.
You are seen. You're seen and heard. It's literally a podcast.
Literally, I'm seen and heard. True. When I'm having a bad day, I'll remember that.
I'll send that to you in an email just so you can read it over.
Oh, thank you.
You'll have this as recorded so you can just play it back.
That's true. It is documented.
Well, I'm really excited because I do have several questions. We actually met, I think last week or the week before, I can't remember.
Yeah.
And at the time that we met, I had like 50 questions. And we talked about a few of them, and I had to whittle it down. So I have, I think, about 12 questions. And I'm pretty sure we're not going to get through all these questions, and that's okay. I really just kind of want to follow the flow of the conversation is really what I want to focus on.
Okay, that sounds great.
But these questions are not the questions that you saw. So I just wanted to make sure that...
Perfect.
that your listeners even know that you haven't even seen these questions.
This is getting real, y'all. Okay, I'm ready.
So the first question that I have for you is... you have always striked me since the moment that I met you. It was actually at a production shoot. Was the first time that I met you. You have always striked me as this kind of go-getter, adventurer, surfer chick style. Like that's the kind of energy that you exude, right? And even from a just the way you behave, the way you act, the way you look, it has that kind of. Like you've been at the beach all day and you have that kind of that frizzy sun-kissed hair kind of thing. But, at the same time, when I met you, you were a professional model, right? So you had this kind of different personality that you brought to the professional set, which I loved working with you on that project. But you're also a businesswoman. And every time you mention this always still surprises me. From Nebraska.
Was that your best Nebraska accent?
I don't know what Nebraskans actually sound like.
We sound like newscasters.
Oh, that's, yeah.
Although I think compared to my fellow Nebraskans, I sound probably a little Southern now.
A little Southern?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's just so many parts of you that I was just, every time I learned something new about you, I was like, what, how many layers is this onion? So my first question to you is actually, how do you reconcile all the different parts of you into who you are?
What a great question. I don't reconcile them. I let them live and be free. I think that idea of reconciling all your parts was something that bothered me for a long time. And it wasn't until I started modeling that I met other people who never figured out what they wanted to be when they grew up. When you asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up and I was a kid, I would give you several answers, none of which matched the other. a soccer player, an artist, a marine biologist. Those were 3 on the list. There were
I
more.
want to be a marine biologist too, so yeah.
Seriously, all my closest friends either studied marine biology or wanted to be
Yeah.
marine biologists. So
4 years.
welcome
Marine,
to the
so-
circle.
Okay. I'm game, yeah. That's how I knew we had a connection.
That's how I knew, yeah. So there's a whole group of people who still have several answers to the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it turns out they are actors. And I realized, you know what, you don't have to pick a path and stick to it. You can have different, layers to your different sides to your life, and it's a good thing.
Do you think that that's because, do you feel you have a wild imagination?
Oh, definitely. My inner world is very vivid and, well developed.
Well, we talked about this at brunch. You think in terms of a picture show.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
And I have entire monologues with myself. So.
Right. Yeah, I think in terms of images and feelings, and it's usually not actually words. So it is more so in the past probably 2 or 3 years. I'll have actual word type thoughts, but not usually. It's usually like a small movie in my head of things that happened and I'm replaying them, or things that I'm thinking about and they play out in the form of like a movie or a music video.
So going back to, you said that you wanted to be so many things as you grew up. Was that because you had like a different picture reel playing at different times? Like, ooh, let me try that, or ooh, let me try that. Like,
yeah, maybe. I think it's because I'm just interested in everything. And I think it's such a bummer we only have one life to live, And I mean, as far as we know, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
It'd be great if I knew I could come back and be like, you know what, that idea I'm going to do next lifetime.
I love that.
Yeah.
And what I love about what you're saying too is that I think a lot of people who have all these different components and facets, like, people are multi-dimensional, right?
Yeah.
But I think we oftentimes try to compartmentalize the different various parts of our lives. And I think I just commend you because all these things that you are that fully and wholly. And a part of me is kind of like, wow, how does she do it? Like, where's her book? I want to read the book. 21 steps on how to live life authentically. So that was just my first question I wanted.
Yeah, I think the key is not caring what other people think. That's been for me at least, because like I remember we'll use clothing as an example. I remember feeling very uncertain about what clothes should I wear. I would go shopping and think, well, is this my style? And then I thought,
signature style?
how do I find out what my style is? If I wear this, will people go, who is she trying to be? And then, I really stopped caring what people thought. And so whatever I wear or whatever I do, it's just whatever I'm feeling in the moment. And I think if more people worried less about putting out a consistent image or heaven forbid they have a personal brand, that they are toting around and sticking to. Don't stick to it just for the sake of sticking to it. Just try different things. If one day you want to wear a bright red lipstick, then wear the lipstick. If the other day you want to wear a hoodie and no bra, rock it out.
You are totally rocking my world right now because like I do branding professionally.
That's true. That's true. I'm breaking all the rules.
You're breaking all the rules. No consistency. What? But I do love what you're saying, and the fact that it is, I spend a lot of time working with identity, mainly organizations, right? And people also have identities, right? And I love that you're saying that your identity is who you are and who you want to be in that moment. And I think just embrace that moment. So would that be accurate to say?
That's absolutely accurate. Just because you feel a different way a different day doesn't mean you're inauthentic.
I love that. That should be a bumper sticker.
Boom. Let's do it.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next question. This is a question that I like to. This was originally my first question, but I think it's better as a second question. I want you to tell me about a high point story in your life. People have ups and downs. They have highs and lows. But I want to know, when was a time when you felt most alive, most happy, most proud of kind of where you're at in your life? Tell me about that time, or tell us about that time.
I think it's a season of life. And it was when probably in the first few years that I moved from Nebraska to Florida. And there was always duality to every season of my life, which I find it odd. I would find it odd if there weren't duality in someone's season of life. Duality meaning like it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. So when I started surfing, and I haven't surfed in a long time, so I feel a little self-conscious about toting myself as a surfer, because if any surfers are watching or listening, they'll be like, girlfriend, I haven't seen you in the lineup in a minute.
Yeah.
Listen, I know. I'm working on it. But when I started surfing, especially when I got my own surfboard and I found my own group of female surfer friends, that made me feel so freaking alive. Like, I just, they looked like me, like they were built like me. It didn't matter what their age was. We had things in common. They were beach people and they were women, and I could watch them surf. And because center of gravity is different for men than it is women, it was easier for me to learn to surf with them, because I would watch, okay, she kind of, squatted down like this and bent her knees like that. I'll try that. And it just made me feel so confident and so beautiful and so free and so unmeasured. There's nothing in surfing outside of surf competitions that's really measured, because it's Mother Nature. And no one is caring about somebody else's body type, or really how many waves did you catch today, or what's your average wave attempt per catch. Like, none of that matters. There's no internet, and it's just a beautiful thing. So probably when I was surfing more and with that female group of surfers.
Ladies, I think that was a call to get that girl back out there on that water.
They moved away.
Oh, no.
They moved away.
All of them?
Almost all of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Real bummer. So.
But I think what I love about what you're saying there, though, is that you found your tribe, right? And we had some conversation at brunch where you said, I think for you it was always difficult connecting with women. So I love that you said that, like, as your friends, like connecting with not having to think about, am I the right person?
Yeah. It didn't matter. In fact, how I met them was I was out with my boyfriend, who's now my husband, and it was December of 2010. We had hail a little bit and sleet, and those were the conditions that I followed him out. That is love, folks. You follow you're like sleet, double overhead surf. I know how to do this. No. And so I had no business surfing. I was way beyond my skill level. And it was freezing cold, and I had a very cheap wetsuit. And anyway, the group of women said, "Hey, you new girl, come over here." They were all hiding in the lifeguard tower, and that's how I met them. So it was just immediate and amazing.
It was kismet.
Kismet.
See, but you could be that person for other young women who, like you said, are feeling a little bit disconnected. Maybe.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. A time when you felt you're most proud.
It was.
So my next question for you is, you seem to be the kind of person that is also, I don't want to say regimented. Like, I feel like there's certain things that you are regimented about, and other things you're just like, well, I just feel like this today, so I'm going to do this. But I'm curious, what are some daily rituals that you swear by that you think everybody else should explore too?
Ooh, this is so exciting. I love talking about this stuff. I have a very rigid morning ritual, and it involves coffee and my cell phone. And I wish I could say that I get up and I meditate and I journal. And I would love to do those things, but that is not the case. So my ritual is waking up before others, whoever that is. Usually it's just my husband, but even if I'm like, within a group of people at a house or a hotel, waking up before everyone else and just having that time of no talking and coffee and my cell phone, and I'll scroll the socials and do that sort of thing. I am trying a new thing now, though.
You're switching it up.
I'm trying. I couldn't do it this morning because I got up before the sun, but the first 10 minutes are outside in the sunlight, looking up at the sky and being outside, and then come in and do my ritual. So I've done it twice.
So like a flower, you're just like out
Yes.
out in the yard.
Yes.
Like,
it's supposed to help with all sorts of things, health and sleep, and I don't know. We'll see. So I'm going to try it.
we might have to have another recording to see how it's going.
Follow up.
Yeah, it's called the accountability episode.
Oh, God.
Okay, well, you've done a lot of things, right? We've talked about some things that you've done. You recently took a trip to Alaska. you are that surfer type. You love adventure. What is something that you will never do again?
I don't know that I've done anything that I'm like, oh, I'll never do that again. I can't think of anything. I really have loved all of my more recent adventures. There's nothing that I thought, wow, that really sucked. I wish I could take that back, that I can think of. If I did, I blacked it out totally.
Oh man, I was hoping I'd get a good story out of that one.
No.
You just really love everything. Ugh, I'm rolling my eyes.
Yeah, no, everything's gone really good. It seems every time we travel, things come together in our favor. We get random discounts and deals. Animals show up. We meet really cool people. Nothing really, really bad has ever happened when we travel. But, you know, I have not traveled as much as other people have. So maybe it's just a matter of time.
Well, once COVID obviously subsides,
Yeah.
there's going to be an opening there for
Great.
maybe more things that you would never do again.
Another reason to check back with me.
Exactly. Okay, so this one is a little bit deep.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh. Let me go back to my notes here.
I love deep questions. I also kind of hate them sometimes, so I'm a little nervous.
And, feel free to be like, no, I'm not answering that too. Okay. So I have here, who deserves credit in your life that you've been slow to acknowledge?
Wow. That is deep. I'm very quick to give words of affirmation. So I hope that I am not missing anyone. But I will take this opportunity to give a shout out to my friend Robin Heller, because she is always good to ask about things, and she'll be telling me about things in her life, and then just immediately she'll stop and go, but enough about me. I listened to your podcast today. And she's just such a great supporter of the show. I don't even know if words of affirmation is her love language, if you will, but she definitely deserves some words of affirmation.
Yeah, great shout out to her.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously words of affirmation is one of your love languages.
It is. Words of affirmation and quality time. And then in a romantic setting, touch.
Yeah.
So I'm always forcing my husband to like pet my hair or, do something. Touch me.
I like that. What do you feel was missing from your childhood?
Oh, Lord.
I said we're getting into some deep questions.
We are
here.
getting into some deep questions. I feel like I didn't have a lot of faith that things would work out. So it was not an external thing that was missing. It was more like an internal thing that was missing. And I think about it a lot, like the morning missed opportunities because I was easily overwhelmed, anxious, unable to make decisions, just easily bogged down with stimulus. And so everything just made me just want to go play by myself in my room or go outside and play with animals and not have to deal with real life. And that is such a bummer, because I think about, oh man, I could have done slalom skiing, or I could have done, if only I had, not freaked out during that audition. I did like one little commercial audition as a kid, and I just turned into a little timid thing and barely said anything, like where would I be now? But can't think about that too much.
No.
So that's what was missing, is more of a internal sense that things work out, even if you're not in control of all of them.
Did things work out? Do you
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, I think so a lot. I'm here and unmedicated.
I mean, that's a milestone in today's age. I mean, I feel like
it
everybody
is.
has to be.
Yeah, not downing anybody that uses modern medicine to help with their internal world, but I think both. I think help all people. Executive function skills and and no medicine. And I just happened to go full executive function skills and no medicine.
Well, I think you just kind of have to respond to your body the way you need to. And so for some people that may require medication. I mean, I was medicated for a large part of my childhood. But I turned out fine. You turned out fine. So I think it's just really listening to your body, listening to your brain, and knowing what's right for you.
Yeah,
Right?
and being willing to switch it around, because just like medicine doesn't work the same all the time, executive function skills don't work the same all the time. And so you have to have lots of tools in the tool belt and be willing to go, you know what, this isn't, what I'm doing right now isn't working. That doesn't mean I failed. It doesn't mean that it's a wrong answer for me later or for someone else now. But I'm going to pull out this other tool and give it a try.
I love that. Well, it kind of leads me into my next question is, where do you feel in your life, or where in your life do you feel you're misunderstood?
I think sometimes, and I don't know how I can check this, but I used to come up against this a lot, where people would look at me and assume that I was mean.
Why?
Apparently I have a thinking face that is rather unpleasant.
It's different than RBF.
I think it is.
Okay.
I think it is. I can't really confirm that, because it's about what other people think, and I'm not in their heads, which really is an interesting thought, because when you think about being misunderstood, it's really, does it even matter?
Yeah, it's your perception of what other people perceive you as.
Right, and it's always good to do a discount double check, as we like to say in the Edwards house, like, okay, if I have RBF, maybe I could change that if it's not giving me the result that I want. So it's not all about, you just have to accept me exactly the way I am. No. I'll grow and change and adapt and evolve. But people used to think that I was mean or snotty. I heard snotty a lot.
Really?
Yeah, I heard, we thought you were snotty.
Like, was this recently? Was this when you were younger?
It wasn't recently. No, this was more high school and college. Yeah, and I think it had to do with just me observing a group of people and not jumping right in. Now I have the confidence to be able to jump right into a conversation or a group of people I've never met before, or an event that I'm going to alone. Now those things are no problem. But back then I definitely would have looked for a child or a dog to play with. And then they were like, who's that girl in the corner not talking to anyone?
Well, and I feel like what you're experiencing is probably what, thousands, millions of other introverts have felt, right? Is that kind of the other, and you're just kind of the observer watching other people. And whether it's a comfort level, whether it's just you're more comfortable being where you're at versus, being uncomfortable in those social situations. So I totally, as also an introvert, I totally understand that too.
Yeah.
Interesting. But I can't do anything about my RBF, unfortunately. I've tried.
I didn't think you had it. Oh, I don't know. It's still pretty friendly.
It's because I'm actually smiling a little bit.
Oh, okay.
If I just didn't have any emotion whatsoever, maybe I might have a multi-million-dollar model contract. I don't know.
Wow. After this, we'll take a RBF selfie together.
Yeah, we'll let your listeners decide.
Okay.
So we're getting pretty close on time, and I do have a couple of other questions I want to kind of get to. Where in your life could courage create closure?
Oh, Christopher.
Is that a little too deep?
No, that's good. Where in my life could courage create closure? This is my thinking phase.
Oh, yes. Very intimidating.
Anytime I think about the word courage, I think about the future. I think about things I want to do, things I'm thinking about doing, which the list is long, ideas that I have that I haven't started on. It's an interesting thought experiment to view courage with a word that is connected to the past, like closure. Then that begs the question, do I need closure in anything? I might not, because I think I might be okay. But that's a great question. I wish I could answer it with some sort of groundbreaking disclosure that was, you heard it here first, folks.
I think it's an interesting question to ask, because I think a lot of people, there's something, most people, there's something that's kind of been in the back of their heads, and they may have been slow to acknowledge, or they may have been slow to really deal with it. So you always strike me as somebody who kind of goes after things that you want, right? And so I just wanted to open that door to see if there was anything that you thought courage could create some closure for you.
I think it takes courage to not get closure. I think it takes courage to move forward without whatever you think you need.
It's an interesting concept, yeah.
And that's where that idea of faith of everything will work out, whether this person apologized to me, whether this rumor was never, debunked about me. Moving on without those sorts of things takes courage.
Amen. I do agree with that. I think some people sometimes can't let things go. So I like that. Well, we have about a minute left. And I do have like 3 other questions that we're not going to get to, but I do want to open up some time for you to tell me the story. In one of the episodes that I was listening to, you mentioned that you had an uncle in Panama City who owned like a whole bunch of strip clubs. And I'm like, tell me more about that. And you didn't say anything. And I was like, okay, I got to bring this up. So tell us the story about this uncle.
Yeah, my Uncle Alan. He...
and does he listen to this podcast?
He is not with us anymore, I'm
sorry.
afraid. It's okay, you didn't know. Yeah, he's not with us anymore, but he, everyone has that uncle that is, or that aunt that's very quirky, and Uncle Alan was always that. He was a very big man. He was very obese, and he was a big man aside from just being obese. He had
big personality,
big hands.
Oh, okay.
His head was ginormous. I mean, he was a giant. He wore a ring that had an eyeball on it, and he was a very skilled liar. And so every time we were with him, he would tell us, this is a real eyeball. And there was a story that went with the eyeball. And we just never knew when he was being real or fake, because he was a former narcotics officer. So he had incredible stories that were 100% true. But because he had so many, we never really knew when he was lying or telling the truth.
Yeah.
So, and he, as long as I had known him or have memory of him, he has owned a few of the strip clubs. I think he owned half of them in Panama City. And so when he passed away, it was unexpected. His funeral was the most hilarious thing you've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, because he also had a wicked sense of humor. And you just never knew what he was going to say. So you didn't bring delicate people near him, because he would likely offend them, and probably on purpose, right? And when we were at his funeral, there was all sorts of strippers there, and you could spot them pretty easily. And there was also businessmen, or they seemed like businessmen, but from the kind of business that might be kind of shady. I don't know. It was like it felt like we were on a movie set. Like there's these strippers walking around crying, being like, he loved me. He said he'd leave me his fortune. And we were like, nah, bitch, sit down. And then there was these men like in Lamborghinis and white suits that would come out with the sunglasses like Miami style, like no belt, just all white, keeps the glasses on the whole time, doesn't speak to anyone, kind of just stands in the corner like this, thumb to chin, what is happening? And then me and my cousin, we walk over to where his grave plot was, and Uncle Alan got the last laugh, because on his headstone, on one side was a woman on a stripper pole with big fake tits, and then on the left side was a police officer badge.
Oh my goodness,
And this is it was a very unexpected death. So that made it funnier. That's he was a paradoxical person,
Wow.
Owner of a strip club. Some people loved him. Some people hated him. He was a police officer, and yeah.
Just imagine, I can only imagine the stories that he would have told.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. I would love to go back in time and have him on the podcast. Absolutely. And I would just have to do a disclaimer, none of this could be true. It could be all true. We don't know. But he would have been a great person to record.
Well, obviously wishing Uncle Alan the best wherever he's at
Yes.
now. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really, really time for us right now. So it's been a pleasure getting to know you a little bit deeper. And if we need to do any follow-up,
Yes.
like I have, like I said, I had over 50 questions, but obviously not enough time for a recording today. But looking forward to hopefully what your listeners are going to say.
Yeah, I know that they will love having you as the guest host. So if they want to stay in touch with you, do you want to shout out your socials so that they can know who you are?
Sure, yeah. So I can be found on Instagram and Facebook, just Kris Poore, Kris with a K, Kris. Poore, Poore. People always make fun of me because I've used this so much, but my family had just enough money to buy an extra vowel, is what I say. So it literally is like dirt poor, but with an E at the end.
Oh my gosh.
So you can find me, Kris Poore. Would love to connect with y'all, and would love to connect with you again. Obviously, looking forward to any time that we can share brunch, coffee, what have you.
Always.
So it's been a pleasure and an honor. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thanks for coming on. This was great.
Woo!
Hey, you're still here. That's awesome. I hope to see you next week too. I talk with the most interesting people that you've probably never heard of. Most of them are paradoxical and bring an opportunity for you to grow as a person. So if you like bright, meaningful entertainment, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications.